Hello there friends and enemies, and welcome back to Unfinished Archetype, where we take a look at sets of cards that Konami has printed for Yu-Gi-Oh! And try and figure out what they were going for. Today's archetype is one that is a favorite of mine. It's one that is used by Grieger in the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's anime, and that is Reactor. Personally speaking, I think Reactor is the perfect type of reactionary card, especially for like 2009 when they came out, and they were just really good in my opinion at the time. I used to use them all the time. They kind of act like their own archetype in their own right, but let's see if we can figure out how to make this more of a full archetype. Starting out the archetype, we have Summon Reactor SK. The first time your opponent summons a monster, you can go ahead and inflict 800 damage to them, and during the same turn that you activate that effect, during the battle phase, when their monster attacks, you can negate one of their monster attacks. You can also use Summon Reactor's effect to send it, Spell Reactor, and Trap Reactor to the graveyard in order to summon a Flying Fortress Skyfire from your hand, deck, or graveyard, which is pretty good. Next up, we've got Trap Reactor Wi-Fi that allows you to, once per turn, destroy a trap card your opponent activates and inflict 800 damage to them, and Spell Reactor Re does pretty much the same thing but for spells. The main deck boss monster is Flying Fortress Skyfire, which can only be summoned by Summon Reactor's effect. Once per turn, you can discard a card from your hand to destroy a card on the field. And once per turn during each of your opponent's turns, you can either choose to destroy a monster they summon and inflict 800 to them, or you can destroy a card they set and inflict 800 to them. The archetype has one spell or trap. It's a trap card called Fake Explosion that can only be activated when a monster declares an attack. It makes sure that monsters can't be destroyed by battle on the field, and that after damage calculation, you can choose to special summon a Summon Reactor from your hand or your graveyard. A couple years after these first set of cards came out, they got a synchro monster called Dark Flat Top. It allows you to target a reactor or a Skyfire in your graveyard once per turn and special summon it to the field. And if Flat Top is destroyed, you can special summon a level 5 or lower machine type monster from your hand. So obviously there's not a lot that we really have to theorize about this archetype. The archetype is pretty straightforward in what it does. But how can we make it into more of a full archetype that can run in a deck on its own? I really think any spell or trap cards that could probably get you a Spell Reactor or a Trap Reactor whenever a spell or trap card is activated could kind of help. Also, maybe giving them a couple of retrains, or maybe some smaller kind of tinkery types that help get them out might be a little more fun. However, I find myself having kind of a hard time thinking of extra things to make this archetype be a little more fluid, because it already seems to do what it wants to do on its own. I'm not saying that it's necessarily super consistent, I can't say that until I try the deck out, but it seems like it does what it wants to do, and it does it effectively, at least from my point of view. That being said, let me know how you feel about reactors, and what you think could probably be used to help make this into a more full archetype of itself. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found something to enjoy about this video, and until next time, as always, drink your water.